It's been often said that food is the great unifier that binds friends and family together. If that is the case, then in typical Mashima fashion, the man takes that concept to its hilarious extreme in this chapter, because I got what I wanted, a sit-down between Connor and Rebecca practically yelling their problems out at each other over a meal upon learning their connection, and I'm sure some people will look at this whole exchange and say that they would have preferred like a more serious tonal conversation and like really dive deep into what their problems are. And I get that. But if you know anything about Mashima, then you know not only how on brand this is for the guy, but also just how absolutely perfect the whole exchange was. Because just the thing about this whole exchange is you have to understand, just through the whole argument, Mashima perfectly establishes why, like, tonally, emotionally, and just conveys perfectly the kind of similarities that perfectly showcase how and why Rebecca and Connor are father and daughter. And it's the kind of thing where, for as loud as annoying as something like that this can easily be perceived as, to the point of maybe wrecking the impact or importance of the moment, it ironically enough works in its favor, as showing it through that lens makes it feel honestly weirdly less forced if you were to go the route of having the typical awkward and quiet moment of silence with both characters trying to figure out what to say to each other. So it's one of those things where it works specifically here because of pretty much because of how Mashima handles writings and handles emotional scenes, and so now, and on top of that, it also adds to the more contextual scenes with Connor, like, and every scene we've seen with Connor up to this point, and it also does this while also still giving that quiet moment of reflection for Rebecca to fully understand that, yeah, both her parents are alive. Gotta say, Connor's parenting methods are already way ahead of the curve in how much he supports Rebecca's ambitions. Like, just from seeing all those scenes with Connor, like how much he has kept up with his daughter's beekeeper career. Like, it is the very definition of pretty much father being pretty much being that pretty much embarrassing fan kind of thing. Also being your most embarrassing fan in a way. And when the moment when the moment does still allow for that quiet and reflective moment with Rebecca in the bathing room, it does still, I like how it does still address why their first conversation exploded in the way it did, which is that with that revelation, Rebecca doesn't even know how to even talk to her father. Aside from Happy and the professor, it's very much true that Rebecca's been alone, left to fend for herself her entire life. So to hear both of her parents are not only alive, but that her father has literally been kind of right beside her, watching over her without her even realizing it, it's just kind of left her questioning so much. Like, left her questioning so many things, and just how is she supposed to feel? How is she supposed to react? How is she supposed to move forward? Like, she's struggling to find the answer to all these different questions she has of how she even approaches this, and like, it's weird to say, but how Rebecca reacts to learning Connor is her father is kind of the natural one. Just learning that one, like, I think most, I don't know how many people have been in the kind of situation Rebecca has been, but just learning that one little detail, that's been pretty much that you haven't known your entire life, it can flip your whole worldview upside down. And Rebecca is just trying to make sense of the whole situation, how she can fit, how she can even fit what she's learned into her life now as it exists. Because that's the other thing about it too. After a certain while, you reach that point of maturity and growth in growing up, where I'm not gonna say you don't ever. I'm gonna say you never reach that point of not ever needing your parents again, but you do reach that point where you don't need their guidance. You don't need their parentage anymore. And Rebecca, and in some ways you could say Rebecca grew out of needing that a long time ago. So how can she even go about fitting Connor and Rachel, aka Knox, into her life now? And that's going to be something she is going to be forced to grapple with, because now that we see Rachel having woken at the end of the chapter, now that we have seen Rachel awoken at the end of the chapter, there is definitely going to be a conversation between father, mother, and daughter all around. Which, all I will say to that is, on top of whatever emotional moment happens there, tell us your secrets, Rachel. Like, seriously, there are things Rachel knows about Mother that she needs to start talking about, because that's like, it feels like there's so many secrets still around Mother that we don't know, and I feel like Rachel knows all of them, honestly. Now, obviously, the next big thing to talk about is the interrogation scene, and I kid you guys not, when I saw Clown pop up again, no joke, no lie, my reaction was quite literally me saying, why the fuck is this fucking ass clown still hanging around? Or breathing, for that matter. Like, why is he still alive? Like, that was basically my reaction. And I was like, really? Of all the Dark Stars, this pretty much ass clown is the one that is still kicking around. Jesus freaking Christ. But, okay, but yeah, so that was my reaction. But I guess getting serious about it, the interrogation scene is one of those that doesn't reveal a whole lot, and yet does give, I think, new context to certain things. One thing I think that this interrogation scene did reveal to us is based on the exchange of Shiki peering into Clown's memories. I think it's more or less confirmed now that much like how the Eden's One had warped Ziggy's mind, I think it also did the same for the Dark Stars, but even more so in a way where it had completely altered, where unlike Ziggy, where he retains some manner of his memories, the Dark Stars' memories were completely warped by Eden's One, which is the reason that none of them knew of their connections to the Shining Stars. And now that we have this confirmed, I have to imagine they're going to try and attempt to it. I imagine at this point, like, Mashima's going to write it out where Shiki and the others are going to try to attempt, at the very least, to restore Clown's memories and give Ivory maybe a little bit of happiness in her life, because I think she kind of deserves it at this point. But knowing Mashima and the trajectory he's gone on with this series, there's bound to be some kind of tragic twist to it. Like, he would never set this up, I don't think, unless he didn't have some kind of, like, he wasn't going to throw something into the mix that's going to say, oh, Mashima, stop, please. Also, Mashima is definitely emphasizing the idea of the Eden's One having a heart. So, again, that makes me kind of circle back to the idea of whatever dark force, whatever dark being the Sakura Knights faced during that Dark Age, I think that is what we're dealing with now. And I think it's one of those things where I think that dark force's literal heart right now is what's powering the Eden's One. I think that's what he's saying. Like, whatever dark force they've existed in the past, its literal dark heart is now what's powering the Eden's One. That's kind of what I've gotten from that, but we'll have to wait and see. That aside, though, one thing I really liked about this section of the chapter is Shiki's conversation with basically Berman, like one of Elsie's crewmates, like where the entire conversation he's beating around the bush. He can't bring himself to reveal that Elsie is dead, and because in a way he himself is still dealing with. Because he himself is still kind of dealing with her loss himself and just dealing with the heads or tails of just accepting that Elsie's gone. Like, Elsie wasn't arguably in the story a long time, but she still had a very overarching impact to everything. Like, and it was a very nice little human moment for Shiki in how he deals with his grief kind of thing. But, yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. I'm on Twitter. And on this Crunchyroll, be sure to notification bell, the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, everyone.